Hello, I'm Congressman Sam Farr. I want to thank you all for coming to the Central Coast of my district to have this very, very important policy forum on school nutrition, and particularly how do we advance school nutrition. At a time when we've just argued and debated the most comprehensive health care bill in the United States, what we learned is that we have to grow healthier people, and it has to start with our children. So you are the first responders to how we're going to grow healthier Americans by making sure that our community feeding, our public feeding in our schools and in all the other services that we give to children, WIC and programs like that we have the healthiest food in the world. And that food grows in the United States and particularly in California. So if we just eat California, we're going to have very, very healthy people in the future, and we'll be able to prevent an awful lot of diseases that come from neglect of a healthy nutritional diet. So you're the people that are going to be the transition folks, as I used to be when I was in the Peace Corps, the people that are going to be the first responders to how do we make this system work. I'd like to thank a very talented panel that has come to the district for this discussion. Jesus Mendoza Jr. of the USDA and their Western Regional Office. I'd also like to thank Grace Huppert for the Nutrition Education Consultant, and Kathy Ramirez, California School Board Association Director at Large. And I also want to thank those of you that have made this event possible. The Center for Agroecology and Sustainable Food Systems, Tim Gallerano, who's from the Central Coast School Food Alliance, putting this event together, USDA's regional office for their participation. I'd like to thank the food service directors and staff who are coming from around the region and trying to share and advance the best practices in providing nutritious, fresh, and healthy food. I'd like to thank the Nutrition Service Division, CDE, for their partnership in a full day of training, the afternoon panel, and on the ground working and advising districts on implementation of a Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act. Our growers and shippers, especially because they're the ones that produce all this wonderful product that we're out to distribute. Duda Farms, Alba Organics, Coke Farms, United Fresh, and the list goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, you're surrounded outside of this Central Coast by the best agriculture in the United States, perhaps the world. We grow over $4 billion worth of sale agriculture, which has another factor of about 9 million when you take into all the other sales and the equipment and things like that. It's a big employer in our district. About 1 out of every 5 persons works in agriculture. And this agriculture is what we want to get into our schools. We need it with our salad bars. I required in federal law that we try to have a salad bar in every school in the United States. I think we need to start bragging for those schools that do, that we're not only teaching our kids well, but we're feeding them fresh and nutritious food. We ought to put that up on signs and let everybody know. I think parents are beginning to ask school boards, and that's where the politics is. All of this politics is not in Congress and not at the state level. It's at your school board level, where if you can really get your school board members interested in what's going on in the cafeteria, they're going to follow suit with the correct politics. And the correct politics is how do we get more nutritious food into the diet of young children. Look, your job is so important because it's a very complicated legal system. In fact, I just had a huge debate here in Congress where they want to ding the salaries of people in USDA for the high error rate. And the error rate is caused because we in Congress have written such a complicated law, a law that's written by the Education Committee but carried out by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. A law that requires essentially that each school has to verify that each day, each child is financially qualified to get a free and reduced meal. That each day, each child gets a full plate of nutritional food. That amount of paperwork to me is crazy. We ought to just be feeding kids, and we ought to be feeding them the right foods and not have to be so accountable for it. But until the law is changed, we're going to have to deal with it. And one thing that you can do with the growers and shippers is to indicate what your problems are at the school level, the size and quantities that have to be served, how the tray has to be prepared. I think they can help you with packaging and getting everything in order so that essentially every meal could be barcoded in a very quick way, and this will help with all the accountability. I also hope that you just realize how important it is to get fresh fruits, vegetables into the schools. There's a big push now by other commodities. We had an amendment on the Ag Appropriations Bill to require that potatoes be served in the WIC program as a fresh vegetable. I'm very much opposed to that, but nonetheless, Idaho was very effective in lobbying the votes on it. We're up, it's a lot of money being spent in the school nutrition program, about $65 billion a year. That's a lot of money when you consider that California's budget is less than $100 billion. So almost the entire state of California's budget just goes into these school nutrition programs and other feeding programs like just food stamps and WIC programs. But I think that the future is about how do we really get the American diet to begin as a value system from early age, to be selecting the right kinds of foods and then using that for the rest of your life and getting adequate exercise. California is a state that needs to break that mold and teach people how to do that well, and I'm sure you're up to the task. Welcome to the Central Coast. Good luck in your deliberations. I look forward to working with you.